Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm Amanda and this channel is all about me and my life, but I also give you health tips as well about how you can live healthy lives too. Because I'm a doctor, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, and I'm doing all the things, and so I like to just share things on here that I think might help some of you out there. So thank you so much for watching. If it's your first time here, welcome. If you're returning, thank you for returning. And if you're not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. It's completely free. And why not hit like and share and send a comment as well if you find this video interesting. So if you missed, last week I announced that I'm pregnant. Baby number 2 is on their way. I say there because I don't know what it is. I don't know the gender. But last week I came on with my husband Raf, and we told you all that we're pregnant, showed a little bit of footage of the journey so far. But now I'm into the second trimester, and so I wanted to do a little bit of a recap over the first trimester now that I'm just coming out of it. So as it sits today, I am just over 14 weeks. Yeah, nearly 15 weeks, I think. 14 and a half weeks. The thing, and this is one of the differences between first and second pregnancies. I've already got a daughter. She turns 2 next month. And with her, I knew exactly how far along I was. I knew like if I was 14 weeks and 3 days. Now there's just no time for all of that. Life is moving quickly as well. And so this pregnancy feels like it's going quicker too. But in this video, I'm going to talk about my first trimester, how I found out. I've got a few notes down here. What symptoms I had, how it's been at work, being pregnant with a toddler, and then also a bit about from some questions that you guys asked me on Instagram when I announced my pregnancy. So yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so let's start how I found out. From last week's video, you see that this was a very planned pregnancy. Beginning of July, I took out my implant and then my contraceptive implant, and then we started trying. I had a period, and then the following month, so in August, I was due on, I think my dates were slightly wrong because I'd been on the implant. I didn't really know what my cycle was. And so my app told me that I was due on a certain day. And so we were at home. I took a pregnancy test that morning and I was with Isabella and she was getting a bit fussy. And so I read it, thought it was negative, threw it in the bin, moved on with my day. And then we went away to Wales actually for a little family break for the week. And it was strange because that evening we'd all gone out and we'd come home, showered, everything, and then I just started feeling unwell. I was like, I don't feel well, I feel sick. And because the pregnancy test was negative earlier in the a couple of days before, I brought a pregnancy test with me, but I also brought all my stuff for my period because I thought it was going to come on. So it didn't come on, but I thought it's because the app was incorrect. And then one night I was just feeling really unwell, had a terrible headache, felt sick, and I just lay on my bed and I just didn't feel good. And this is why we were on holiday. And I just thought, I'm the kind of person that feels sick easily. I get motion sick, and so I thought, I've had a busy day, that's probably what it is. And also Isabella was vomiting too. She had like a little stomach bug, and so I thought maybe I picked up something from her. So long story short, I'm not really making this short, am I? But I went to bed that night feeling unwell. And then I had the most disrupted sleep ever. And I'm not someone that struggles with sleep at all. And I must have woken up maybe 4 or 5 times. And every time I went back to sleep, I had a dream telling me that I was pregnant. A dream that I'd done a pregnancy test and it was pregnant. And you know when you have a dream that is so clear that when you wake up, you think it's already happened. So I woke up and I was like, I'm pregnant. And then I was like, hold on, I haven't done any tests. I'm not pregnant, I did a test and it was negative. Am I pregnant? And so, I was like, okay, I'm going to do a test. But I brought a test with me, even though I don't know why I brought it with me because I did one at home that I thought was negative. And so I brought this test with me, and Isabella woke up just as I was going to the bathroom. So I went to the bathroom, did the test, and it said positive. And the day before I was so sure that I wasn't pregnant. But after those dreams, I've never had such clear, vivid dreams in all of my life. And I just knew. And so when it said positive, I was like, yeah, oh my gosh. And that's how I found out. And I had this really nice plan to tell Raf. I bought this top that said like Big Sistersaurus for Isabella to wear. But I was just too excited that I just told him at like 5 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock in the morning when he was all dazed and Isabella was crying. So that's how we found out. Next, about how first trimester has been. I know everyone says that every pregnancy is different, but if you're like me, I know you've been pregnant before, so you think you know what you're what's to come, what you're expecting. And actually, that wasn't the case. This pregnancy was so different. And I know people say it all the time. I know I tell people this, that every pregnancy is different, but really every pregnancy is different. And with Isabella, I had anxiety, and quite a lot of anxiety in the first trimester. It was a bit difficult for me to deal with then, but the rest of it was just a bit of nausea, a little bit of tiredness. This time round, the fatigue is insane. And I think it's because I've already got another child that sometimes keeps me up at night time and, keeps me busy during the day. I can't just sit down and have a nap because this little one doesn't want me to do that. And so the fatigue has been insane. The nausea has been, I don't even know what to say. The nausea has been so intense, and I've been vomiting this time. With Isabella, I didn't vomit. And so that's been really difficult. And the vomiting for me as well, it's like I'll go days without vomiting because, like I said, I'm someone that gets motion sickness. And so I'm really good at teaching myself not to vomit. When I was a child, I used to throw up all the time. But now I've taught myself, like, I can keep my stomach on lock. I might feel sick, but I'm not going to be sick. And so I'd go days and days without being sick. And then the day that I would throw up, it's so violent that I have, like, it just knocks it out of me. The last time I was sick actually was just over a week ago. Luckily, second trimester's here and I'm feeling a lot better. But just over a week ago, and it was in the middle of the night, like 3 o'clock in the morning, I was being violently sick. And so it's just taken out of me. And with Isabella, I had a really bad I had a really bad heartburn. So much so that I used to carry around this massive bottle of Gaviscon. They used to just like swig after meals. But it didn't start, I'm sure, until like well into the second trimester. This time, from the first trimester, the heartburn has been just crazy. Like, I'd have a cup of tea, heartburn. Just anything that I put into my mouth, I'd get a heartburn. People ask me about what cravings and things that I have. But in the first trimester, because I was being so sick, and also because this horrible heartburn and this sour taste in my mouth, there was nothing to crave because everything that I ate, even if it was just a small snack, sometimes I'd have just a few of Isabella's raisins and I'd have heartburn. And so Gaviscon is, again, my best friend. But those are the main symptoms that I've had in first trimester: fatigue, nausea, vomiting, and heartburn. Dealing with work has been really, really difficult this first trimester. And I think it was around between 6 and 8 weeks that things started ramping up. And so I was at work feeling really unwell, and it got to the point where sitting at my desk and doing, like, speaking to patients all day long, every 10 minutes, admin coming in, I just couldn't handle it. I couldn't do it. And there was like smells in the office and I wasn't comfortable. It was too hot, too cold, and I just felt sick constantly. And so I spoke to work and I said, can I work from home? Luckily with COVID, there's like loads of systems that we've created, haven't we, so we can work remotely. So in Isabella's pregnancy, I don't think this would have been an easy option, but because now we're doing telephone appointments mainly and we're all set up with laptops, I was like, I'm working from home. So I did that for 2 weeks. But the second week I got so unwell that I was literally calling patients while I was lying down because I just felt so sick. And so I had to take a week off. I took 1 week off, then I returned to work, but on slightly reduced hours for 3 weeks. And now this week I've gone back full time. But it was really difficult for me to do that because I know the impact that has on my patients and on my practice, taking leave like that, but I just couldn't manage. And so that's been the work situation. It was too much. For my clinics, I see about minimum of 15 patients in the morning, 15 in the afternoon, then all the admin work, which is lab reports, home visits, looking at clinic letters, doing repeat prescriptions. It's just never ending and you can't really have that many breaks. And you leave late, you start early, and my body just couldn't handle it. So that's what happened with work. But I'm now back. I've done a whole week back at work and I've been all right. I survived. But another thing that has been different this pregnancy is the fact that I've had a toddler. Being pregnant with a toddler, listen, when I was pregnant the first time round, I don't think I really appreciated how much like pampering and how much rest I was allowed to have, because, you know, everyone would just be like looking after me. I didn't have anyone that was like mommy, mommy, mommy. I didn't have anyone that's waking up first in the morning and wanting me. And what was actually really difficult is because even though I had days, especially when I was off or doing reduced hours, where I could rest at home with Isabella already being in childcare, either with my parents or with nursery, the problem was the nights, obviously still together, and a lot of the time she wants me a lot in the night. But the other problem was that when she wakes up now, finally, I used to complain that she wakes so early, but now she usually wakes up just after 7, and Raf goes to work for 7. So in the mornings, it was just me and Isabella. And if you know toddlers, if you've got a toddler, they're not just gonna, you know, get up, brush their teeth, get dressed. It's gonna be a whole ordeal. And the mornings were when I used to feel terrible. And so I'll be rushing around trying to get her ready all by myself. And it was so hard. And then I'd have to drive, and the commute to anywhere used to make me feel so unwell, because I've got motion sickness too. And so I'd drive her to nursery with my parents, and then that was me. I was just like out of it for like half a day. So that was difficult with a toddler. But actually she's been at nursery since she was like 9, nearly 10 months. She started nursery, and she was in the baby room for quite a while, obviously, but before she left, she started being one of the older ones in the baby room, and so she really was used to taking care of looking out for the other little babies. And so now she comes home and she really knows about the baby. She like kisses my tummy and she says mommy's baby. She actually thinks it's a baby in a lot of people's tummy now, but you know, she's getting there, and I think she's gonna be a really good big sister. She's been really loving and nice, but we are going into terrible twos. And even though I wanted a small age gap, it is making me think, okay, we decided on this small age gap. We're going to be deep in the twos when this newborn comes along. And so anyone got any tips for that? Anyone done it? Help me! Let me know how you coped. But she's doing really well, and she's been really lovely. And it's nice that she majority sleeps through the night. But also through my first trimester, Isabella has had norovirus. She's had fevers, infections, all in the space of like 6 weeks. She's had 2 ear infections. She's had norovirus. And so her being sick means that she's not sleeping as well. She's very clingy, or she's having time off nursery. And then I'm also not well. So it's been a tough couple of months, I'm not gonna lie, but we're out of it now, so it's all fine. And the last thing I wanted to touch on was just scan. So I had the scan, first of all, because my periods hadn't really synced up correctly yet after going off contraception. I wasn't exactly sure how far along I was, and so I ended up having a scan a bit earlier on in case I was already 12 weeks, but it was a bit too early. But waiting for that scan, oh my goodness, the anxiety that I feel, and I know a lot of women do, and I know that's why there's so many people getting private scans now and doing lots of really early scans, because the anxiety is immense. And I remember having this thought that I'm going to go in there, they're going to do the scan, and they're going to tell me that I'm not pregnant, there was no pregnancy. Why did I think I was pregnant? And I'm just going to feel like an idiot. And it's just such a strange thought to have, isn't it? But I know a lot of people do experience that. And so you're not alone. And for me, a lot of my worries come from the knowledge that I have as a doctor. I've worked in obstetrics and gynecology. I've seen some of the outcomes that can happen at scans, you know, really devastating things. And so it's always a worry, like just before the scan happens, like holding your breath as they put it on. And I'm always grabbing for Raf's hand. And for me, it's because I've seen it through other people's eyes, but I know a lot of people have experienced loss themselves. And so I'm really sorry to anyone going through that. And I understand the anxieties that are there. No, I can't understand it completely for someone that's gone through that. But pregnancy is a time when there is a lot of anxiety. You know, you're just trying to grow this child and do your best, but you're feeling terrible and you're feeling bad for not eating well and not exercising enough. But then you also can't really get up because you're throwing up and being sick. So it's just a whole thing to navigate, especially the first trimester, because you don't look pregnant. And you also don't really tell that many people. And so you're kind of there suffering, but you can't tell anyone, so you feel a bit isolated too. So yeah, it has been tough, but we're out of it. We're done now. Yeah, that's been first trimester for me. And actually, I just said that you don't show, but I've started showing so much earlier. Honestly, the memory that your body has, it's like, oh, we've done this before. All right, I'll just look pregnant straight away. And so I'll show my bump in a minute. And I think I'm pretty big for 14 weeks. Especially because with Isabella, I didn't show until I was about 5 months. So that's interesting. But I did have some questions that you asked that I put out on Instagram. And so the first one somebody asked me was about the gender. Do I know what I'm having? I don't know yet, but do I have an inkling? And I was saying that I didn't know for ages, but baby yesterday started moving so early. Again, that's different too. It's not first trimester, but they've already started moving a bit. And I don't know, as soon as I started moving, I was just like, I have been a boy. I don't know why, but in the last 24 hours, I've decided this is a boy. And then somebody else asked me as well, if it's a boy, will we have more children? I think that's a really difficult question to ask while someone's pregnant or when someone has a newborn, because you're in the thick of it. And so it's like hard to imagine doing it again. I've always said I want at least 3 children, but you've got to think about, there's so many things to think about. This is a conversation that me and Raph have had about whether if we have a boy, I don't think it should really make a difference, but I know that if you have a girl, Raph definitely wants to try for another one and try for a boy, I guess. Not that there's anything wrong with girls. I think girls are great. Isabella's great. And I really want her to have a sister, actually. But I think if it's a girl, it's a bit of a, I think we probably would go again. But it's really easy making the decision to have your first child. For us, it was anyway. And to have a second child was really easy too, because I knew I wanted her to have a sibling. But now, to go to 3... I don't know, because you've got to think about, does the house configuration have to change? What do you do in like finances? And you've got to get a bigger car. It's all things that really shouldn't impact on whether you bring life into the world, but it's things that go through your mind. And so the answer is, I don't know. I'd like to have 3 at least children, but I don't know. I might have 2 and be like, actually, I feel very, very content. We might end up having 2 girls and be like, we're very content and we're done. So we just have to wait and see. I don't know. And there's another question. Somebody said that they'd seen my birth story and they want to know if there's anything different I'm going to do this time to protect myself from doctors. Now, my last birth story was a bit complex because I had an induction and scans that I didn't really think that I needed. And then the outcome was still the outcome we want, healthy mom and baby, but actually it was quite a traumatic birth, in the fact that I ended up with an emergency C-section, a uterine infection, that I had to be readmitted to hospital for a week, and it felt like some things were missed. But I don't think I need to protect myself from doctors. I don't think it was a particular doctor's fault, but I think it's just really important to arm yourself with knowledge. People have asked me if I'm going to be going back to the same hospital. I am. I can't really see... I don't think it's a hospital specific problem. I think we can see the statistics for Black women across the entire country. So I think it's not a hospital specific problem, but I just need to make myself heard and make sure that my wants and my questions and everything are heard and answered and responded to, and just arm myself with knowledge. I did it before, but I think I was a little bit less confident when I was in labour before. Before I went into labour, like during my pregnancy, I was very vocal about everything, and I'll just continue to do the same. I asked lots of questions, but when I was in labour and postpartum, when I felt very vulnerable, then is when I wished that I'd armed somebody else with more information too. My best friend, she's an obstetrician. Well, she's a doctor in obstetrics and gynecology, and she gave a lot of support, but from afar. But I wish that, although me and Raph did hypnobirthing together, we didn't do all the classes together. We didn't discuss everything. I felt like we discussed a lot, but then like the postpartum bit, we discussed a lot about birth and labour, but the actual postpartum bit, we didn't discuss so much. And so I think he felt a bit lost about what he should do and how he should support. And so I think next time it's just to equip everyone around me with knowledge that when I don't feel like I can speak myself, they can help too. And to do that not just for the birth, but actually the postpartum too. I guess that's how I am going to try and make things a bit better. And also tell my healthcare professionals that are looking after me about my previous experience, so they know kind of where I'm coming from. I think that's it. I don't think I want to do much else. And then the last question that I had was, they asked, do I have any advice on surviving the first trimester? Another person who is now on baby number 2 and the first trimester is kicking their butt. And basically it's to remember that first trimester does that. I don't know, I know there's a lot of people that don't even know they're pregnant until like they're well into their 2nd or 3rd trimester. But for me, and if you're similar to that, first trimester is difficult. Just accept it. Take the rest. My house went into disarray completely. I took time off work. I went to my doctor's and I got some anti-sickness medication because I just couldn't function without it. And so get the help that's out there, talk to people and take the rest, and just forget about all the other chores and things that need to be done, honestly. That was my first trimester recap. I am really, really excited for the rest of this pregnancy and to continue documenting it and sharing it. This time round, it feels even more exciting than it did when I was pregnant with Isabella. And I think it's because I've already got a child and I've done the journey before. I know it will be a different journey, but I've had a child before and I know the change that it can bring to your life and how amazing it is. And so because I know what's to come, like the love that's to come, it's like I'm even more excited. When the baby kick started yesterday, I was like, oh my goodness, it's starting again. This is great. And so I'm really excited. I've said that word so many times, but that's basically how I'm feeling. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. And I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please make sure you subscribe, that you like, that you share, that you comment, do all the things. And also follow me over on Instagram where I'm live with Dr. Amanda as well. And hit me up in the DMs. We can have a little conversation there too. Okay, bye.